of young people and the American families and communities that we represent. My name is Greisa Martinez Rosas, and I serve as the Executive Director of United We Dream, the largest immigrant youth-led network in the country, a co-chair of the Home is Here campaign with Make the Road New York, and a key leader in the fight to win and protect the DACA program. Home is Here is a national campaign made up of over 100 organizations fighting tirelessly to protect DACA recipients and immigrant young people against the dismantling of the DACA program and for proactive legislation just like this one. We are proud to be co-hosting today's press conference alongside the indomitable, historic, and a champion of our people, Senator Dick Durbin of Illinois. We're also glad to be joined today by Senator Catherine Cortez Masto, a Latina representing Nevada, and Senator Alex Padilla will be joining us in just a short time. We're all here today not only because we care deeply about the people that would benefit from the DREAM Act, but also because we know the impact that it would have on millions of American families, businesses, and communities across the country. We only have to look to the DACA program to know that when we come together around common sense solutions, we can make a change that benefits millions of us. The DACA program has been one of the most successful immigration policies in modern US history. And it is the community, it is immigrant young people that have delivered that. With DACA, hundreds of thousands of young people who were raised and educated right here in our towns and cities have pursued higher education, secured stable jobs, started businesses and families, bought homes, and contributed to industries facing critical labor shortages like healthcare, education, technology, and agriculture. Yet we are currently facing unprecedented attacks that pose the greatest threat to yet the future of the DACA program, and in doing so, the future of this country. And those millions of people who make our country stronger every single day. Over the last several months, the Home is Here campaign has tracked and reported an alarming pattern of targeting and detaining DACA recipients. Nearly 20 DACA recipients and dozens more dreamers have been locked out of DACA program have been detained to date. That includes dads like Paulo Cesar Gámez Lira, who was detained as he was taking his infant with a serious medical condition for a doctor's visit. That's shameful. Every single person here today, including the members of Congress we are joined by, will tell you that DACA is and has always been lawful, and at the same time, we know that a temporary program is not enough. That is why the DREAM Act is so important. Legislation that is a testament to the growing recognition across the political lines that immigrants are essential members of our society, and that when immigrants are attacked, it hurts our entire community. As DACA recipients face imminent threats threatening the future of every community and every single industry in the United States economy, and risking over $600 billion in losses from our country's economy, the DREAM Act is a permanent, bipartisan, common sense solution on the table. This is the time for Congress to finally deliver it. We are deeply grateful for the leadership of Senators Cortez Masto, Senator Durbin, Padilla, and their colleagues, and want to also take a moment to acknowledge the decades of relentless work, of commitment to telling our stories, 150 to be counted in the floor, the commitment to have immigrant young people at the negotiating table when it was about our lives, and the commitment to say enough and to put forward a vision. Thank you, Senator Durbin. Senator Durbin's introduction of the Bipartisan DREAM Act today is more urgent than ever. The efforts to end DACA would reverse more than a decade of progress and harm for families and communities across the country. But today, we are coming together to make it abundantly clear. It does not have to be this way. The way that our country is moving is not normal, and it will not stand. There is a solution being laid out before us, one that demands decisive action from Congress to deliver it. With that, I now want to invite Senator Dick Durbin from Illinois to take the mic.
Thank you, Grace, and thanks to all of you for being here today. This is an historic day It's a day that I look forward to because of so many people who count on this effort, so many lives that depend on this effort, so many people and families whose future depends on the future of the DREAM Act. This is a truly significant moment, not just in legislation, but in the history of this nation, a nation of immigrants. I am honored today, and you'll forgive me if I ask for just a minute or two to acknowledge some people who are here. First, there was a woman who worked in my office in Chicago 25 years ago who took a phone call. It involved a young woman from Korea named Teresa Lee. She just discovered at that moment that she was undocumented and wasn't quite sure what that meant. She was preparing to apply for the Manhattan Conservatory of Music. She was a musical prodigy, and it looked like she had a great future. But she learned that she was undocumented. And she called our office to ask Clarasol Duque, please raise your hand. She asked Clarasol, what can I do? And Clarasol did her good work as usual and came to the conclusion that the law said very clearly, Teresa Lee had to leave the United States and wait 10 years to apply to come back into this country. It sounded fundamentally unfair for an 18-year-old young woman to face that kind of a prospect. And so Clarasol came to me and said, boss, what can you do? That's when I decided to sit down and start writing a law to change the situation. Fortunately, at my side was a man who is still with me today, one of the smartest people in the Senate Judiciary Committee staff and a person I've been fortunate to have by my side during this whole struggle, and that's Joe Zogby. Raise your hand, Joe. We wrote the DREAM Act, and we started to introduce it and ran into a problem. There was a senator from Utah named Orrin Hatch who had the same idea. And he said to me, you're stealing my idea. We said, we're not, Mr. Chairman. He was Chairman of Judiciary. It's the Hatch-Durbin bill from this point forward. And so we worked together for 2 years before he decided he didn't want to go any further with it. And I've been carrying it ever since as a lead sponsor. We've passed it at times in the Senate. We've passed it at times in the House. We never quite got it together, and now we must. I also want to take a moment to acknowledge some folks from my home state of Illinois and the city of Chicago who particularly deserve recognition at this moment. They've joined us today. I want to acknowledge that we have a group called Catholic Priests for Justice for Immigrants and the Step Up, Speak Out campaign. Father Larry Dowling. Father, raise your hand or stand up. From the Resurrection Project in Chicago, Father Brendan Curran. Michael O'Kenzie Cruz from the Coalition for Spiritual and Public Leadership. Olivia Erbach with Step Up, Speak Out campaign. Olivia. And Lauren Foley with the Speak Up, Step Out campaign. Where are you, Lauren? Particular recognition to the priest I'm about to introduce. He tried to figure out what he could do as an individual priest and person to help this cause. He came up with an idea very few people would come up with. He decided to walk from Chicago to New York. Father Gary Graff, raise your hand. "22 days? How many days of walking? 56 days. Great. You took your time. Well, you're welcome to be here today. And thank you for your inspiration, and this effort continues. Let me tell you a word or two. I've spent the last 24 years trying to get the DREAM Act signed into law. Over those years, I've shared 150 stories of dreamers on the Senate floor. I'll bet some people in the room were part of that effort. We met hundreds of dreamers along the way who told the story of why this law was necessary. In desperation, I turned to a friend of mine, a former Senate colleague by the name Barack Obama. And I said, Mr. President, can you do anything by executive order to help these dreamers? and he came up with DACA. And DACA has helped over 800,000 individuals have legal status in this country. We don't take it for granted that it will continue. We've got to continue the fight to make sure everything we can do preserves DACA and for those who currently are benefited by it. The passage of the DREAM Act would be a certainty that's true. Today, as we prepare to introduce the DREAM Act again, we are reflecting on the many dreamers I have met who serve in our country in so many important capacities: doctors, teachers, nurses, policemen, small business owners. One I'll mention, and Senator Masto may personally know this individual, Dr. Manuel Bernal, who was brought to the United States when he was 2 years old. I spoke with him at the height of the COVID pandemic as he was working on the front lines protecting America. He's now an emergency medicine physician in Nevada, but equally important, he's still on the front line, helping this country. I'm happy to say that Manuel is now a permanent resident. America is better because of people like him, for his service in the medical field in our communities. At this point, I also want to acknowledge all of the individuals who stood up bravely, like Graça, and proclaimed themselves as dreamers. There was a time when their parents and friends warned them, don't say a word publicly. Well, when you tell a young person full of ideals and determination, don't say a word personally, they'll do just the opposite. And thank goodness they did. The dreamers and all of them deserve a round of applause for their determination. This moment in the history of our nation is a terrible, challenging moment for so many people, not just the dreamers, but immigrants in general. I've been both angry and heartbroken to watch masked federal agents parading in their combat uniforms with automatic weapons in the city of Chicago. I've seen them wreak havoc in these communities and sow fear among people who are afraid to even go outside to go to church or to go shopping. And it's time that we bring an end to this madness that's happening in the streets of the cities of America. I think there is hope. The DREAM Act is a key step toward true, positive, bipartisan change. We must never stop fighting for these good immigrant families and their children who bring so much to this country. We are a nation of immigrants. I am proud to be the son of an immigrant. If you visit my office in the Capitol, you'll see behind my desk my mother's naturalization certificate. I want everybody who comes into my office to understand this is the proud son of an immigrant who's doing everything he can to help the next generation of immigrants be part of America's future. So it's an honor to be here today. The fight has just begun, and many people who've been at it for years, I say the same thing. I'm not giving up on you. Don't give up on me. Thank you.
It's hard not to be emotional in this space. Yeah. And yet we know that there's space for emotion, especially in these times. Today we are going to hear from powerhouses in our movement, and we're going to begin with Axel, a member of United We Dream. Then we'll hear from Senator Catherine Cortez Masto, Reverend Adam Taylor, Kika Matos from the National Immigration Law Center, Senator Alex Padilla, who just joined us, and we're so happy that you're here. Doctora Carlota Ocampo and Todd Schulte from Forward.us. And so we'll move into that and then open for Q&A. And so Axel.
Thank you. I want to say hello, everyone. I'm glad to be here today as all of us share why the DREAM Act is such an important piece of legislation during a time when so many of us are living with uncertainty. My name is Axel. I am a member of United We Dream, and I call the DMV home. I'm currently studying computer engineering. Through my years in school, I've worked on technology-driven projects, and I hope to one day launch my own ventures. my own tech company that will empower communities and give back to all of those who have helped me along with my studies. So many of these things were possible because of programs like DACA. And knowing that the program continues to be under attack is knowing that all of these accomplishments and possibilities will also go away. I'm also very passionate about apprenticeships and workforce development because I know that my generation needs to be prepared to become the next leaders of our country. We will inherit many challenges, but with that, there are so many opportunities to do things better and to really build a life where we can thrive, not only survive.
That's right.
That will require more than just one bill, but we must start somewhere. That's why I'm here to lend my voice to the Senator Durbin, Padilla, and Cortez, so that they can continue to advocate for the passage of the DREAM Act legislation that would ensure immigrants' youth have a pathway to citizenship. There are millions of young immigrants who grew up in the United States, attend high schools and colleges across the country who have already contributed to making their communities a better place. But with a permanent protection, they can achieve so much more. The workforce needs our dreams, our skills, our tenacity. With the DREAM Act, we can make sure what we've done so far is only the beginning. I urge leaders of both parties to see this is as much as a needed solution that comes at such an urgent time for young immigrants across the country. We are essential. We are driven. We are the future. And we need the DREAM Act to pass. Thank you.
And now, I'm excited about the future with Axel and the leading way. And now we're going to welcome Senator Catherine Cortez Masto.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Listen, thank you. I am so proud to be here today to stand with America's Dreamers, which, by the way, includes about 10,000 DACA recipients in Nevada alone. Every story that you are hearing here is a story in every community, including Nevada. I meet with my Dreamers and DACA recipients all the time, and it's true. Many didn't even know that they were of that status because their parents were too afraid to let them know because of what is happening right now in this country. But without your voices, without voices like Axel and others willing to step up and say, this is who I am. I am a part of this country. I was born here. I want to be an integral part of who we are. They are on the front lines, as you've heard, in the pandemic. They are our future teachers, our engineers. They are the future of this country, and they belong here. They belong here. And it all starts with this legislation. Let me just say, I hear all the time, and rightfully so, the frustration in my community from so many Dreamers who have been in this fight. I know many of them that were young, 18, and now they're in their 30s, and they're still fighting this fight. And there is a frustration. Yeah. I get it. Oh, yeah. But you know what? We can't give up. And it starts with this legislation. We introduce it. It is a base for us to continue that fight. And someday, with the hard work of everyone, we get it across the finish line. But let me just finally say this, especially to Dick Durbin and his staff. We would be not at this starting line but for the staff and Dick Durbin and work that they have done to make sure that this is on the forefront all the time of members of Congress, and we're fighting for it. Every Congress, if we don't pass it, they reintroduce it, and they talk about it, and they fight for it, and they talk with our colleagues about what we need to do. It starts there with so many, and including senators now that believe in this fight, like myself, like Padilla, and so many others. We have to continue this. For the first 10 years following the creation of the DACA program that Senator Durbin just talked about, DACA recipients paid a collective $33 billion in federal, state, and local taxes. Think about that. They're part of our economy. They are growing our economy. As you have heard, they're bright, they're hardworking, they enrich our communities. Over 80% of Americans support a pathway to citizenship for Dreamers. It's common sense, and it is the right thing to do. And by the way, in every community, I have to thank the nonprofits that are there, the ones that have been in this fight, and yes, our faith-based community. They're at the forefront of this fight for a reason, because it is the right thing to do. This is who we are. This is compassion. This is humanity. This is about making sure that we continue to grow as a country, and we recognize immigrants. Like Dick, I'm a granddaughter of an immigrant. My grandfather came from Chihuahua, Mexico, to this country for a better life. Think about that. Everyone wants an opportunity to succeed. And why should we let one administration stop that? In my community right now, because of the overreach and the excessive force by this administration, I have people afraid to even go to church, to go to school. Sensitive locations, they're afraid to even come out. I've had fathers pulled out of cars taking their children to school. I've had mothers taken away. It is heartbreaking to see what is happening in this country right now, and the demonization of a community that is nothing but the brightest, and they focus on our future, and they want an opportunity to succeed. And that's what this fight is about, now more than ever. Now more than ever. So I am so pleased to be a part of this fight. We are taking it on so many levels. Listen, we have Republican attorneys general now trying to take it away from us. But you know, we've got Democratic attorney generals doing the opposite. We've got people fighting here in Congress to tear down those bad laws and take it away and fight for the laws that are going to show who we are as a country. And it does start with our dreamers and their families. And it's not just about our dreamers, it is their families. We've got to do right by their families as well. That's what this is about. So I am proud to stand with everyone here today. I cannot thank Dick Durbin enough for being the beacon of light in this fight. And he has taken us through it every step of the way. And I thank him for that.
Thank you, Senator. Next, we'll hear from Reverend Taylor. And after him, the president of the National Immigration Law Center, Kika Matos. Reverend Taylor.
First, I want to give a heartfelt thanks to Senator Mastro, to Senator Padilla, and to Senator Durbin for reintroducing the DREAM Act and for your tireless leadership on behalf of Dreamers, but also on behalf of our entire country. I want to thank all the Dreamers for your courage and your witness. I want to thank other faith leaders that are in this room for being on the front lines of protecting immigrant rights and their God-inherent dignity. I have the honor of serving as the president of Sojourners. We're an ecumenical Christian organization that advances justice and peace. Thank you. And we are a proud member of the Interfaith Immigration Coalition that has also been a tireless advocate for the DREAM Act. I'm going to speak from my own Christian tradition. I'm also a reverend, Black Baptist preacher. I'm not going to preach today. But I do want to acknowledge that we in the Christian tradition are in the season of Advent. And yes, this is a season when we wait with hopeful expectation the birth of the baby Jesus on Christmas Day. But before we can get to Christmas, we have to contend with and stare into some darkness that surrounds us right now. And when we think about that darkness, I certainly think about so much of the cruelty and inhumanity, and in some cases lawlessness, that characterizes the Trump administration's current mass deportation and immigration policies. I also think about, in particular, so much of the danger that is facing our DACA recipients. You have already heard the degree to which that program in its 13-year history arguably faces the greatest crisis right now. Today, as we are gathered, we know that this program and DACA recipients have faced hostility, unlawful detentions, and violence directed at the over 800,000 DACA recipients. Within weeks, so the past couple weeks, multiple DACA recipients, including Javier Diaz-Santana in California, and Catalina Santiago and Paulo in El Paso, were wrongfully detained despite having valid protections. So let us be really clear today that this is not just a set of isolated incidents. This is a pattern that is only going to get worse unless Congress intervenes. We know that this is a highly effective program that is at risk of being dismantled. Now that is the bad news, but I believe in some good news. The good news is, as you've heard, this is one of the most effective programs in our entire immigration law and history. The good news is that Congress has the opportunity, the power, and I would even argue the moral responsibility to pass the DREAM Act in order to provide a sense of permanency and security to DACA recipients. DACA recipients are Americans in every way except for paper. And from a Christian point of view, from a moral point of view, they are made in the very image and likeness of God. The good news is that, yes, we know there are grave issues that need to be fixed within our broader immigration system. But in my mind, passing the DREAM Act is a first step. It is a bipartisan no-brainer. And it is time that we mobilize the moral pressure to ensure that the DREAM Act is passed now. Congregations across our nation will be lighting candles over the next 4 weeks, or the next 3 weeks of Advent, that symbolize a commitment to hope, to peace, to love, and to joy. Well, I can't think of a more powerful and profound way for Congress to offer their own sense and commitment to joy, to peace, to hope, and to love than to passing the DREAM Act. Because we know it'll offer those things not just to the 800,000 plus DACA recipients. It'll bring that joy and peace and hope and love to the communities and the congregations in which they reside and are such integral and vital members of. So our message today to Congress: now is the time to transcend partisan politics and to do what is right. Now is the time to overcome darkness with some light. Now is the time to pass the DREAM Act.
Woo! Who felt like that was church right there? That was church. The Reverend was reminding me of my first time here in D.C. in 2010 when we made up Christmas carols. When we were trying to pass the DREAM Act, it was like, oh, senators, please pass the DREAM Act now. I'll send you the lyrics later so that you can add it on. Up next, I want to welcome the powerful, deep partner for United We Dream and a leader in our movement, Kika Matos, the president of the National Immigration Law Center. Kika.
Thank you, Grace, and good morning. How's everybody doing? Yeah. We got to get the energy up in this room, right? Because we are going to wage a fight, and you know what we're going to do? We're going to win. Oh, my God. With that energy, we're not even going to make it outside of the building. We're going to fight, and we're going to win. Thank you. I'm really glad to be in community with all of you, these incredible partners, including my sister, Grace, doing all that we can to fight with and on behalf of immigrant communities. I was so excited to get on the plane and come here this morning. Why? Because we are gathered today to talk about hope and possibility. And that is something that has been seriously lacking this year. The introduction or the reintroduction of the Bipartisan DREAM Act feels like a much-needed breath of fresh air after everything that our immigrant communities have been going through and are still going through. How many of you are excited about coming here today? As the president of NILC, I want to thank Senator Durbin for tirelessly championing the DREAM Act since it was first introduced back in 2001. And just to show you what a badass, tenacious man he is, how many of you weren't even alive in 2001? Raise your hands. And I'm really proud to say that even though I wasn't at NILC at the time, NILC did work with the senator and other legislators to help craft that first DREAM Act. And we are fully committed to continuing the work with Grace and UWD, with Senator Padilla, Senator Cortez Masto, and other fierce advocates to get the DREAM Act signed into law. I believe, really, truly believe that we can make this happen. We owe it to the millions of young people who have organized and advocated for years for this to happen. I want to also thank Senator Murkowski for co-sponsoring today's reintroduction. And I want to say, the thing about this bill is that it has bipartisan support, and it's had bipartisan support for a really long time. And this is a rare example of solutions-focused legislation that has support from the majority of Americans, irrespective of their political affiliation. And so I want all of us to really focus on mobilizing and organizing to make it possible for Congress to match that support with the level of urgency that this moment requires. And I just want to focus on what folks are going through right now, right? We have hundreds of thousands of DACA recipients who are really hoping that their future will be a bright one, right? But they're riding on the outcome of what we know to be politicized lawsuits. In the meantime, as this plays out in courtrooms, we've already heard that DACA recipients and immigrant young people are getting caught up in the Trump administration's destructive detention and deportation campaign, and it's a damn shame. It is more urgent than ever that we redouble our efforts to chart a path that brings us closer to a just and humane immigration system. And let me say really clearly, and I'm going to say it twice because I feel so passionately about this, this administration's terror campaign is not the way forward. Let me repeat that. This administration's terror campaign directed at immigrants is not the way forward. The American people want a solution, and this is one that has been hiding in plain sight for over 20 years. So let's hope, and all of us in this room, let's commit to mobilizing Congress and delivering the message that I swear a lot, but I'm not going to be able to swear at this conference, but you can read between the lines when I say, let's tell Congress that they need to get their beep together, right? Pass this legislation and finally give Dreamers and DACA recipients the protections and the peace of mind that they desperately need. They are American in every way, but on paper, so let's do it. Who's going to throw down with me? We are. Yeah, se puede. Se puede. Se puede. Pa'lante, and thank you.
Brilliant strategist and the person that gets the party started. So we thank you, Kika. And now we want to welcome Senator Alex Padilla to the podium. Thank you so much for your leadership.
Well, hello, everybody. I want to thank you all for being here. I know this is not the beginning of the movement. It started many, many years ago, but I want to thank all the dreamers who are here, all the advocates and allies who are here, because we believe in the American dream. But most of all, I want to thank the fearless leader for so many years, our hero, Senator Dick Durbin. As he said, nearly 25 years he's been at this. But let me be clear. Today we're not just announcing the reintroduction of the DREAM Act. But what does that mean? The reintroduction of the DREAM Act means the dream is still alive.
That's right.
The dream is still righteous. That dream is still just. That dream is still alive, and we are committed as ever to get it to the finish line.
Right.
That's what we're celebrating here today with this reintroduction. Try not to be too repetitive of some of the points and statistics that have been shared already, but I do think it is worth honoring the more than 2 million dreamers who are living throughout the United States of America today. We call them dreamers, but in real life, they're family, they're friends, they're neighbors, they're coworkers, they're loved ones in so many ways. And they deserve better because of the political gridlock, because of the scapegoating, and so much more. They have continued to not be able to come out of the shadows in the way that they've wanted to, and do even more to contribute to the success of our nation. And yes, the times that we're living in are hard. And it's made matters worse because of the Trump administration's mass deportation campaign. As we say at every turn, if this administration was only truly going after the dangerous, violent criminals, there wouldn't be the debate or disagreement that we have. But we know that the facts on the ground are different. The reality is different. The vast majority of people who have been stopped, who have been detained, who have been arrested, many deported and too many without due process, are not those dangerous, violent criminals. They're dreamers, they're essential workers. There's so many hardworking people who don't have violent criminal histories. And it's important for the public to recognize that. It includes people like Javier Diaz Santana, a DACA recipient who happens to be deaf. He cannot hear, but he was stopped and detained by federal agents while working at a car wash in Los Angeles. And when armed officials handcuffed him and they took away his cell phone, they left him without a way to be able to communicate. That is not right. We're talking about people like Paulo Cesar Gámez Lira, a hardworking forklift operator in New Mexico, who was taken as he was leaving his home to bring his 3-month-old child to the pediatrician. So no, Trump administration, don't tell us that you're only going after the worst of the worst when you're going after hard-working dreamers that deserve better. Dreamers don't deserve to live in fear. Dreamers deserve to receive protection and a pathway to citizenship. And so that's why we are still committed, keeping the dream alive, and reintroducing the DREAM Act, because we know that when we better protect dreamers, we're also protecting our workforce, we're strengthening our economy, and we're strengthening communities throughout the United States of America. Amen. And so we're appealing to our Republican colleagues, please listen, not just to us, listen to us, but not just to us. Listen to your own constituents. Listen to the overwhelming majority of both Democrats and Republicans, as well as independents throughout the country who support the DREAM Act. They know it's good for communities, good for families, and good for our country. And let's get it done as quickly as possible. And if I may, because I'm blessed to be bilingual, as a proud son of immigrants myself, offer a few words in Spanish. Hoy estamos anunciando la reintroducción de la medida legislativa, the DREAM Act. No solo como una medida legislativa, sino como símbolo que el sueño sigue vivo, el sueño sigue fuerte y nuestro compromiso es más fuerte que nunca para lograr aprobación no solo del Congreso, pero en una firma. Sabemos que el público está en favor de mejor tratamiento para los Dreamers. Y especialmente en este tiempo tan difícil en comunidades, en todas áreas del país, en Chicago, en Los Ángeles, Carolina del Norte, New Orleans, Portland, and so many more. This mass deportation agenda by the president, la agenda de deportación del presidente, no es justa, porque la gran mayoría de personas que han sido detenidos, arrestados y deportados no son los criminales violentos que Donald Trump dice que son. Son gente trabajadora, son estudiantes, son jóvenes que han contribuido tanto a este país, inclusive muchos dreamers que merecen mejor, merecen protección y un camino a la ciudadanía. Es nuestro sueño y lo vamos a lograr. Muchísimas gracias.
languages, and 3, the Spanglish that I grew up with. Next, we want to welcome Dr. Carlota Ocampo, the Provost of Trinity University. Dr. Carlota.
And a proud daughter of immigrants. Poppy, look at us now. Thanks to Senator Durbin, Senator Murkowski, and Senator Padilla. Such a pleasure. And of course, the Dream.us and all our partners here, I know so many in this room, for the opportunity to speak on behalf of Trinity Higher Education to support our students, neighbors, and friends who, while not born in the US, our childhood arrivals were raised and shaped here and are Americans in every sense of the word, except for the immigration labyrinth that they often find themselves trapped in that excludes them from a fair and just pathway to citizenship. Trinity is so proud to stand as a Dream.us partner, and we are responsible to prepare students who might not otherwise have access, and that includes students from all walks of life, including those without documentation and those with documentation. We provide a higher education so that they may graduate and contribute needed skills to society and to the economy, as you've heard. After high school, these students do not have access to federal aid, they do not have access to Pell Grants, and in many jurisdictions, not even the ability to apply to higher education institutions. The current administration attacks on states' rights to extend in-state tuition to the students they choose to extend tuition to, including those who went to high school in those states, are absolutely wrong. This is happening in California, Texas, and other jurisdictions. And this means that even more young people will be denied the opportunity to develop their talents and ultimately contribute to the strong and thriving America that I know we all envision. These are our future doctors, nurses, teachers, social workers, counselors, business owners, and if the past is predictive, and as we've heard here today, future technology and science leaders and innovators who make America first in the world for advancing knowledge. Among Trinity's own recent graduates, I am so proud to say, and many of them Phi Beta Kappa, by the way, and other honors, we have healthcare providers, we have science researchers, environmentalists, public health experts, and a policymaker who literally, as we speak, is changing state law to boost the healthcare workforce. DREAM Act legislation means that tens of thousands more currently excluded students will be able to likewise achieve the promise of their potential. Trinity joins the President's Alliance on Higher Education and Immigration, the Dream.us, and so many of you all here in supporting this bill. And I'm going to say, and we've heard it, but many Americans believe this bill already exists, believe that a pathway to citizenship for undocumented childhood arrivals already exist. So I was reading of the horrific deportation, and we have to say their names, of Annie Lucia Lopez Begosa. She was a college student, I'm sure you heard, traveling home to be with her family for the holidays. And she was horrifically deported, handcuffed, made to sleep on the floor of a jail. When I see comments on these articles, they say things like, well, why didn't she just fill out the paperwork to become a citizen? People believe that this is possible. And so now it is beyond time for the DREAM Act to make sure that this pathway is a reality. Trinity stands with our partners. Passing the DREAM Act is not only right and just for dreamers, but by removing barriers and strengthening educational pathways to much-needed careers, it is the right direction for colleges and for the country as a whole. So thank you again to the sponsors of this essential bill and to all for allowing us to speak in support. And si se puede. La lucha continua.
And rounding us out is Tal Schulte, president of Forward.us.
It is an honor to be here. I want to thank everybody. It's amazing to look around the room and see so many friends from around the country. Texans, as somebody from Missouri, even someone who's from Illinois, sir, but it is an honor to be here with you. But to look around and see so many people who have fought so hard and will continue to fight so long, and whose days every day and the work that they are doing for DACA recipients and dreamers and so many others is a reminder that we know that giving people a pathway to citizenship is the right thing to do. And there is no better proof. There is no better proof point or policy that we have seen than DACA. That we have seen that giving people that extra dignity to drop their kids off every day, to go to school, with that just a little bit more that you can make with work authorization, that extra certainty. And as we are seeing an absolutely horrific effort to strip away legal status from people, to deny people basic dignity, to put the fear of deportation into them, and whether that is people who you are seeing in Illinois, through these awful, awful actions, or in Charlotte, or now in New Orleans. Whether it is the laborers outside of the Home Depots in Los Angeles, or the gardener, who are working so hard with their hands and their backs every day so that they can have a kid who can do something a little bit easier on their bodies. And we have seen this for generations and generations in this country, and we know that giving people that certainty and that dignity by fixing our laws is the right thing to do. And the Bipartisan Dream Act builds on what we have seen there. And then when we see around the country an administration that is ripping apart families, that is taking away rights and opportunities, knowing that marginalizing those people and making life harder for them, they see that as fueling their propaganda. We know that we can build a better immigration system, an immigration system that says if you give people the opportunity to have the same rights to fully contribute, that is the right thing for them, that is the right thing for everybody. The average DACA recipient came to this country at the age of 6 and has been here for 27 years at this point. And we talked about Annie, a dreamer, who came at the age of 9, who is 19 years old. And I talked about Annie this morning after Senator Durbin, you have highlighted her case so much, with a friend who joked that he's 38 and a dreamer, and he's been here for 30 years, and he's twice her age, and we should have an immigration system that knows that we will all be better off, that a 19-year-old or a 38-year-old, the question should not be, are they deported, are they subject to deportation, but how do we build an immigration system that allows them to fully contribute? And times are hard. And so I think the challenge to all of us is that when we see these awful, awful images happening, it's not just to say, that's wrong, but to say, giving people legal status, giving people the pathway to citizenship is the right way to go. And there is no better example of that than what we've seen by the steps we've taken forward. There is nothing more needed than congressional action on that. And to be here with our incredible Senate champions, and thank you to those who can't make it today, Senator Murkowski, who have fought so hard to bring us to this point. We can take the cruelty we're seeing, and with the inherent goodness of the American public, I believe that the years ahead can be the time to get this done. Thanks to the people who've been leading this fight for so long, first and foremost, dreamers themselves. So I want to close by acknowledging the incredible contributions of the advocates themselves who put their lives on the line to do this. Grace and so many others and everyone here. So thank you. It is an honor to be here.
With that draws the conclusion of this space. I want to end with two things. One is the reminder that the dream is still alive and will not die, that the dream lives in each and every one of us, like Joe Zogby, who was tirelessly been supportive of our people, like Carmen Canida, who's been with us at United We Dream since the beginning, like Juliana Nacimiento, that has been fighting for us to represent our people, and the members of United We Dream. And the second thing that I'll say is that this is a bittersweet day. Our communities are being hunted. And we feel powerless in stopping it. But in that moment when we feel alone and we can't go outside and plan a holiday with our parents, when our grandmothers are afraid to go to the grocery stores, when our fathers have to say goodbye each day knowing that it might be their last one, we say that we're not backing down until we deliver an America that welcomes all of us, until we deliver an America that works for working class people. and until we stop the terror that is happening in our communities. And so with all the gratitude and love that we have for the senator standing beside us on the DREAM Act, we ask you to continue to fight for our families, to continue to fight to stop the terror in our communities, and to hold this administration accountable to what's happening in our homes. We thank you. We thank you, Senator Durbin. We thank each and every one of you. Muchas gracias. Sí se puede, and we're going to win. Yeah.